Well, I know the players get super pumped up with the Air Power Legacy Series uniforms and wearing them, the meaning behind them. You get equally excited about the uniforms and the meaning behind them?
I love the historical, reflection and the respect. I mean, you think over the years, the Doolittle raid, in April of 1942, where U.S. as a country, we were not just on our heels, but we just wondering economically, come out of the Depression, Pearl Harbor, with what's going on in Europe. By that point, Nazi Germany had gone all the way to the coastline. Japan hitting you from the other side. I remember the impact of that. You think of the Red Tails uniform. I mean, how incredible the Tuskegee Airmen were and their contributions. The F-16s, the Thunderbirds, I mean, that was the first one. The shark tooth helmets, the A-10s. Now, are those uniforms going to block and tackle and make a play? They're not. But it's sure just the affiliation. And as you go through, I mean, the special ops crew, the C-17s, what they mean, what they've meant to the Air Force, but what they mean to the Air Force as we go forward, too. Great, great lessons.
What level of stress is there on your defensive coaches making the flip from a team that's going to pass the ball 80% of the time to the complete opposite in a matter of 7 days?
Yeah, I think that's really college football, probably from week to week, because you see such a variety of looks at offenses. It likely starts with personnel groups, the different ways that they run, the different ways that they protect, the play action passes, the downfield throws, I mean, across the board. But you're right, for this particular week, it's a pretty good variance.
Navy's 4-0 last 2 years, have run the triple option really well. What do you see from their offense?
Really, really good balance. I know, they're number one in the country running the football. But the yards per attempt passing, how impressive that is from their offense. And really the number of guys that they have that are really in their third year of starting, or at least third year of playing a bunch of football, and execute at a really, really high level.
For your offense, does it help that Rice runs the triple option and you can kind of see on film kind of what that kind of looks like against a Navy defense?
A little bit. I mean, we're looking at everybody that they play against. It's a different approach than what we utilize just because they are in the gun every single snap. But, yeah, I mean, we looked at the film, tried to pull a few things. We sure did.
What in your mind is kind of a common denominator of great Service Academy quarterbacks? And I would think Blake Horvath qualifies under that label.
Oh, golly, I don't know if I've thought it completely in that way. Let me give you something here. Just give me a little consideration. I think the things that are obvious, he moves exceptionally well, has a tremendous feel for what they're asking him to do and how he operates within their offense. Very effective at hitting throws down the field, too. And has good playmakers around him, too. Really, really good playmakers. I don't know if he's playing or not, but the fullback, I mean, he is talented. He can run. He's powerful the whole bit. Certainly who they've had out there at receiver the last 2 years. And, you can just tell, I mean, the instincts, the anticipation. When to carry a ball, when to pitch a ball, certainly knowing and letting a route develop, even though I might get thumped, but I'll still being able to get it out of my hand. Those are the attributes that certainly you see as a football player.
Yeah, were you saying that was specific to Horvath, or that's kind of what you see over and over again with the
I think
best?
It applies for him, absolutely. As you go through the years, D. Dallas had that tremendous running skill, but he could flip the ball easily and could wait for a route to develop and trust his wrist, to get a ball out and playing. I mean, the number of games that he has played, just because he played a good number of games his sophomore year and then obviously full-time last year too. So, boy, man, playing at every position matters, and it might even be more elevated at that one.
When you talk about a running quarterback, is there a different skill set to be a running quarterback versus a fullback, a tailback? Is it just a different feel, particularly when you're also including the option pitch? But is it just a different thing?
There's definitely some instincts that are definitely important. Now, you've seen numerously effective runners, I think, whenever you've had quarterbacks that were primary ball carriers. You have guys that are maybe exceptionally quick. Cale Pearson and D. Dallas had incredible quickness. Maybe guys that blend good top-end speed, with some power. And then you've seen guys that were really thumpers too, that have been really good or effective as ball carriers at quarterback, but still were skilled enough to play the position and still deliver balls on the passing part of it also.
They do throw the ball a lot to their backs, including fullback. I think Teska's had 33 catches in 3 years. How different of a look is that in relation to what we've seen maybe over the last 20 years, that they do use the backs that much in that respect?
It is. It certainly comes into play. Probably a little bit of that is maybe, I don't want to say the evolution of the sport or the growth of the game, or you're always studying other teams. We certainly do in the off season, and the backs are probably lined up in positions now because you aren't always under center, where it makes it a little bit easier for that back to release, where honestly in the years where you were under center and that fullback's directly behind you, it's hard for him to scat, or really get out into a route.
Bruin has had catches in every game, touchdowns in the last couple of games for you. To what degree is that something that you and Mike are really trying to get him involved, or is it just organically that on plays that are called, he's getting open and making those plays?
Both. I do think he's an excellent target. You see, his ball skills. He's more than just a guy that needs it within the frame of his body. You run across and, you're playing Oregon State or, and you got to do, just some of the things, the way it contorts his body and how natural that is athletically. And he's a good route runner too, and has really, really good quickness. And he's a guy that's pretty instant. I think anytime you trust your hands, you can pluck and tuck right away. Sometimes when you body catch, now your feet gather too. It's not the instant transition to becoming a runner, and he has that.
The last few weeks, you guys have had explosive plays on offense, but after the game, kind of talking about some areas you want your offense to grow. Is that kind of maintaining the possession, converting on third down, and maybe trying to keep your defense off the field more?
Well, I think, the real driver, if you had to look solely, you want to, how often, how many points can you score on a possession? That's the real. If you played 14 possessions, you might say, well, we scored 31 points today, but I'm not saying it's everything statistically, but boy, you're really only scoring, just over 2 points a possession. Compared that if you played, 9 possessions and you scored 27 points, there's a difference. There is. I think more than anything else, what we're looking for, we want to be better fundamentally at generating, be better at the line of scrimmage. And if we do that, maybe does that lead to some longer drives? Perhaps. I don't think that automatically should say, well, you want to do that so much so you aren't going to take a shot down the field. That's not your mindset, but it is where we do have to generate more down after down 4-yard gains. Terman, you're getting your steps in here. I like it.
Historically, when you've had a player like Tim McVeigh or Chad Hall, who's kind of had the kind of season that Cade Harris might be having, have you seen defenses account for that in different ways, or are those seasons the product of them just finding space within what you do and how defenses have to stop?
I think both. You're asking two really interesting questions there. And, naturally, you're going to identify, or at least try to defensively, anytime there's a player that's pretty well involved. If the Patriots are playing the Rams in the Super Bowl and Marshall Faulk is, I bet the Patriots coaches are going to say 28, preparing for that Super Bowl. And then the flip part of it, do you try to utilize those guys a little bit more? We do. I think I go back to, you mentioned Chad Hall, and boy, after about 4 games, you thought, what, how many different ways can we get him involved? And I think the guy ends up leading your team. I want to say punt returns, kick returns, but end up catching 50 balls. I think it was 46 in the regular season, 4 in the bowl game against Cal, and rushed for over 1,400 yards and the number of different alignments. Hey, you do want to do that, and that's you do.
Do you remember when you first met him? Because I would guess he's a guy who can walk into class and people don't look at him and think, oh, he's a...
Who's that?
Kate Harris. They probably wouldn't look at him and think, oh, he's a football standout. Like, he just looks like another cadet, I would assume. Do you remember when you first saw him, and then maybe when you first saw him apply some of this on the field?
Because it was during COVID, so I didn't see him really. I didn't. I tried to see off the film, but that's not looking into eyeballs. And now, just the quality of the human being and the toughness. The dude practices, he practices every day, which tells you something competitively. And guys that are made to be good football players practice darn near every single day. If you don't practice pretty much every day, you're a flash here or there, you're not going to be a good player. So it's the lasting power, and it's just that anything you ask me to do, if I got to shove my face in there on a block and block a defensive end, embracing that. He does, in addition to, the skill level.
Are you past the point where people can surprise you, like Liam Zarka, Kate Harris, when you see them start to grow and excel? Like, does that surprise you at all, or do you always kind of anticipate the best from the guys you have in your program?
Well, I think anytime you're recruiting a guy, there are possibilities that you see, else you wouldn't recruit him, to be real. Probably what's most, certainly with your freshman or sophomore classes, is knowing not only the human being, but a lot of times you get a pretty good sense on the upbringing part of it, which I think is relevant. Not completely, not always. And it's not financial, or it's just the salt and the, just realizing the work ethic and the values. And then just, I mentioned this, just anytime you see guys that do some things in different sports too, as a competitor, as an athlete, and again, just being able to practice, man, when guys practice and guys lift every day, there's a good chance you're going to grow. And, one of the benefits that, if it is an advantage, is that, if a guy really doesn't get in there until his junior year, at least he has been in your system for a couple of years. I think back when we were at Wake Forest and how many guys you wanted to redshirt, so you had them in their you just always knew their best years were going to be in year 4 and year 5, and having a long haul approach that way. And but I'm not surprised. I'm not. No, sir.
Okay. And I hate the cliche that throw out the records, but there have been a lot of surprising outcomes in Service Academy games. Like, why do you think that is? And is it because, you guys are familiar with each other's programs, and also you face that day in and day out within your own program?
Well, there have been maybe once in a while, you're right. I go through the years, and boy, I think in this series, has that happened? Golly, maybe in 2018 to a degree, maybe in 2020 to a degree. I do think this. You do put it. You have. It's probably the team that you're at least. You tend to be fairly familiar with the other team's roster. Whether it's through evaluation. Usually that's what it is. When they were juniors or seniors in high school. An evaluation that you did. The other part is, they tend to be. A bunch of them have been really, really good games. We'll see. Doesn't mean that's it's just year by year and game by game, and really each week you always play. I mean, we're in 2025. And there are times you're sitting there and it's like, I'm just telling. I don't know why people bet. And a lot of times I have no clue what a line is or a spread is, over under is. Once in a while, but pops in front of you. And I think, how in the world? I don't know. And it might not be as stern and like it. I'm just telling you, man. Why? Unless you really know, there's some insider trading that you have where it's stupid stuff. No one knows. How many times you watch film and the number of hours we put into things and you think, okay, we're going to give ourselves a really, really good chance here to sit here and forecast things. Good luck.
And the last thing, defensively, you mentioned the change of style. Does this play to your strengths more to play Navy versus Utah State, Boise State, Hawaii?
Great question, man. Yeah. I think you're probably able to, maybe some of the replication you can do in practice, I think helps to a degree. Some of the size differentials, probably over the course of time. I can't say for this one game if that's the case in these 60 minutes, but over the course of the time, over 8-year stretch, 10-game stretch, I think it, we faced some pretty darn good bodies here recently. And those weren't, those were guys that could easily go to the local store and buy beverages for adults. And yeah, let's be, you walk out there sometimes in pregame or in the first series and we face some really big, thick, old, powerful guys. We have.
The Commander-in-Chief Trophy games, how excited are you guys when these games are actually here the week of, and just the preparation heading into it?
Yep, the energy high. The energy is high, and the focus is also high. We've had this game circled on the calendar since the start of the season. This is step one in winning that trophy and bringing that trophy back to where it belongs.
That's goal number one, correct?
Yes, sir. Every year. Goal number one, as a team at the start of the season, we kind of lay out our goals for what the team goals of the season are. Winning the CIC is always the number one goal on our list.
Defensively, is it easier kind of to game plan for them since you guys run a similar offense compared to like Boise State or anybody else, do you feel like?
Each team has their own different little quirks and unique things about them. Obviously, I think we spend a lot of time on them, and we work on them in fall camp and spring ball. So we definitely spend a lot of time on them, and our coaches do a great job scheming them up and making sure we're ready to go.
Hey, Blake, how you doing? Good. Hey, what's the vibe like on campus? What are people, saying to you guys?
Yeah, we obviously know this is a big game, and we know that we have to be locked in. At the end of the day, what happened the last couple of weeks it's over. We can't look in the past. We can't dwell on things that happened then. We got to move on. And we got to look at what's ahead of us, and that's the first step in the Commander in Chiefs Trophy.
What's it like playing in this game?
Yeah, it's a great environment. Obviously, you know the guys across from you go through some of the similar things you go through. But at the end of the day, while we're on that field, our goal is to win that game and do everything we can to dominate the other side of the ball.
You look like you crashed a motorcycle on the way here between the eye and the arm. Like, how are you feeling physically after this couple week stretch of playing linebacker?
Yeah, I feel good. The training staff does a great job making sure that we come in on Sunday for treatment, make sure we heal up from the prior game, and they do a great job making sure throughout the week that we're ready to go for the next Saturday.
Is it? I know he mentioned kind of you able to scheme better against them because you see a similar offense, but is it kind of nice to just go up against someone who you understand and it's not so much communication and keeping track of 4 receivers and this and that, and it's just kind of more pure form of football?
Yeah, it's definitely more of a downhill game, which I love. You kind of go to work in the trenches and just get downhill and fit the run a lot. But at the end of the day, there's still a lot of communication that goes into play, and we still got to be able to do our job and make sure that we're hitting the right gap and doing our responsibility.
Last Saturday, it seemed like you guys did well on first and second down and kind of struggled a little bit to get off the field. Is that the big point of emphasis this week, get off the field?
Yeah, Coach North talked about it in our team meeting. We were horrible on third down. We have been. We definitely have to get that fixed. We spend a lot of time in practice. We have multiple periods a day where we work on third down. We call it Monday down period. And it's at the end of the day, that's where you make your money. It doesn't matter how good you are on first and second down if you can't stop them on third down and get off the field.
Yeah. You mentioned earlier it coming back to your rightful place, the CIC trophy. You're a senior, correct?
I'm a junior.
You're a junior, okay. What do you think it would be like getting that back here? And I know you still have, Army as well, but what do you think that would be like?
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Like I said earlier, that's our number one goal each and every year. And seeing that trophy up in Clune Arena where it belongs, it's gonna be awesome. It's awesome for recruits. It's awesome for us as a team, knowing that we earned that and we put in the work and dominated and did what we needed to do to bring that trophy back.
Did you ever see it?
I came here when I was a recruit. I did, but we haven't had it since I've been here. So I'm looking to bring that back.
Yeah, what is that void like? Today Blake Horvath talked to me today. He said it physically hurts when you have to sing first. What is it like to have not experienced that? As a key contributor to sing second, and even just one game.
Yeah.
To win one of those.
It hurts to lose every game, but these games hurt a little deeper. They're important to us, and they're a big point of emphasis for us. And going out there and being able to sing second would, just bring the joy, knowing that we put in the hard work and we did everything right to bring that trophy back to where it belongs.
How nice is it, because of your unique circumstance as an academy, to have this opportunity? Most schools, if they're 0-3 in the conference, it's like they're playing for bowl eligibility maybe, but you guys still have, like you said, the top goal to play for, in your 5th game. Like how nice is that opportunity to be able to forget about all these things in a very meaningful way?
Yeah, it's a great opportunity. But at the end of the day, we're trying to go 1-0 every week. This is obviously a very important game, and we want to go out there and dominate. But each and every week, we got to go 1-0. And yeah.
And I got to ask, as a teammate of Cade Harris, like when you look at him, would you have ever guessed he can do what he can do and put up the kind of numbers he can put up?
Seeing him work in the offseason, yes. He's a baller, and he has put in the work, and he has earned everything that he's reaped. So, yeah, I mean, obviously he's not the biggest guy, but he will make guys miss, and he puts in the work to do what he's doing right now.
Okay, and also as a teammate of Liam Zarka, like, would you have guessed that he had this in him? I mean, did any of you know that this was coming?
Yeah, in spring ball, we kind of knew he had it in him. We saw little sparks here and there, and he put in the work to learn the playbook and make sure he knew and kind of gain chemistry with the guys around him. And I think the O-line trusts him, his receivers trust him, and then he's got great control of the offense.
Okay. And what is he like, as a team-wide leader? I realize it's offense and defense, but is he stepping up into that role, from what you can see on the other side?
Definitely. Yeah, he's stepping up. He's being more vocal and just kind of, trying to step into that leadership role as our team's quarterback.
Okay. And who's kind of that voice on the defense?
I try my best to be one of those voices. PZ, Zdroik is also a big voice. Groby, we got a lot of guys, a lot of guys who try to lead our defense and trying to lead those young guys behind us.
What does it mean for this football team? And obviously, this is your first goal.
Right, yeah. No, this one's huge, especially in the situation that we're in right now. We need a win bad, and to get that over a good Navy team this week would be huge, especially moving forward as a team and for CIC trophy standpoint.
Liam last week set a school record for total offense. How confident is he getting right now leading this group? And then also, how impressed have you been about his play?
Yeah, he's playing awesome right now. I love to see it and seeing the steps that he's taking each and every week to get better. I think he's feeling more confident just as his role kind of expands and we're letting him do a little more. Yeah, I'm just excited to see where he takes this thing for sure.
Cade, what would it mean for the senior class to get the CIC trophy back here at Clune Arena and just back on campus?
Yeah, that's huge. That's huge, just not as a football team, but as a campus, like you said. Having that trophy back here where it belongs is, one of our number one goals.
Have you guys talked about it as a senior class or just in general?
For sure.
Could you share a little bit what you guys talk about?
We talked about just our team goals being to win each and every week and going 1-0 each week. And obviously, winning a CIC trophy, you got to go 1-0 each week, especially this week against a good Navy team and then later in the season against a good Army team.
What do you think it would feel like to sing second? Not just the trophy, but just to win one of these and go on the road and beat Navy, especially given the context of what the season has brought so far.
Yeah, that's always a good feeling when you get to sing second. Just bringing that thing back where it belongs is huge. And I think a win this week could definitely propel us for good things later in the season.
And then back to Liam, did you see this coming, last spring, or at any point, did you sense that this might be happening with him?
We kind of knew, obviously in spring ball, but maybe even a little bit last year as a freshman. We kind of heard that he was a dude and had some good skills. So I'm glad that he was able to, work hard and get to where he's at today, and hopefully he can keep working and keep getting better each and every week.
Navy defense. On film, you guys are kind of able to watch another triple option team. I know Rice runs a different kind of triple option, but was there anything that you guys were able to pick up about their defense?
They always play us great. They have some really good players up front. But yeah, we know what to expect each and every week as far as our execution comes, and what we're going to have to do this week to get a win. But yeah, they have a lot of great players, and we're going to have to come ready to play for sure.
Is it good because you guys have obviously start with 1-3 starts so far, but it's week 5 and your main goal is still ahead of you? Is that something like, hey, this week all of our attention's on Navy, obviously?
Yeah, for sure. I think each and every week our attention is whoever we're playing. This week maybe feels a little more elevated just because it is another Service Academy game, and there's a lot more on the line as far as an academy standpoint. So, yeah.
Cade, obviously with your offense, you want to ground and pound it, and you've had a lot of success through the air. But it seems like you and everybody in the ex-receivers run incredible routes. How often do you guys work on that in practice? Because it seems like the emphasis is to run first and maybe throw occasionally.
Right. That's something we do every day in practice. I think almost every day we do routes on air. That's just a segment for us and the quarterbacks to run routes and get on the same page as far as timing and where we're going to be. So, yeah, it's not something we kind of put in the back of our minds. It's something we work on every day.
And then professors, peers on campus here, what are they saying to you about the Navy game? If you could share.
It's big. The freshmen, when they're greeting, are ending it with Sync Navy. So it's just a cool culture thing to be a part of, and we just need to get it done this week.
Yeah. I asked you after the game, if you felt like they were playing you a little differently, and able to limit you a little bit early. As you studied the film, are you seeing some different tendencies now in how defenses might be approaching you, just given the numbers you've put up?
Yeah, maybe. I've noticed that the past few games, wherever I'm at, they're kind of pointing me out, trying to locate where I'm going to be. But I think we can use that to our advantage, set up some things that maybe they're going to expect, maybe they're not. I trust our offensive staff and our coaches to, they always have a good game plan, and they're going to put us in the right spots to be successful.
Do you think keeping this pace is going to be difficult because of that? Because you're you're not going to hide from anybody anymore. Everybody knows how to game plan or that they need to game plan. And is that a bigger challenge?
I think we just have a ton of weapons offensively. You've seen guys like Quinn, Cade Frew, the fullbacks, all of them that rotate. Quarterback, obviously, Bruin, Fleischman, like all of our guys on offense are weapons. And I think the more we're able to display that, and we have in past games, like the more teams have to get ready for. And you can't get ready for everything. So that plays a huge advantage for us.
I might be wrong in the assumption, but are you someone who feels like you've been overlooked a lot over the years? And is there a transition now that obviously no one's overlooking you now?
I think, yeah, in the past I've kind of been overlooked as far as recruiting and maybe even my style of play and what I have to offer. I treat each and every day as an opportunity to get better and kind of prove those people wrong. So nothing really changes as far as my mindset each and every day, regardless of what's going on around me. So,
can you flow anonymously? If you go to Chipotle, especially if you have long sleeves on, they can. Do you ever get looks like, I wonder if that guy's
what's funny is we actually, Coach Campbell in our meeting rooms, he jokes with me all the time about it because he said back in the day he used to go out and people would recognize him left and right. And so he asked me, I was like, no, I actually don't get recognized everywhere. I don't look like your typical college football player, so that definitely plays a role into it. And I try not to wear like Air Force stuff and be all flashy when I'm going out. But it's cool. It's fun.
Would it be fun to continue this trajectory and become this big, this well-known football player who can go out and be like, have people say, hey, there's Cade Harris. Like, do you want that?
I mean, it'd be cool. I'd like to think it wouldn't affect my mindset more than it does. Each and every day I just try to be me. I don't try to be someone I'm not. And I hope, whatever may come, I can still be the same person I am today as I am yesterday or moving forward. Just treating each and every day as an opportunity to get better and, just stuff like that.